Good morning and welcome everyone from the DRC Studios Vienna to today's session Fit for XBRL. My name is Gernot and together with me is Philipp, live from Essen, Germany. Hello, Philipp.
Hello, Gernot, and also a warm welcome from my side.
Glad to have you here. I hope that everyone has joined now, so let's start. Some information up front. In this session, we will keep the small talk and the theory about XBRL to a minimum and focus on the practice on how you can prepare your XBRL document. Most of you have heard already multiple lectures about this topic anyway, maybe even the enlightening one from yesterday's DRC session. Feel free to ask questions via the question and answer function at any time, though we would like to know who is asking, so please state your name in the dedicated field when doing so. My colleague Melanie is sitting right next to me and will collect them, and we're going to answer them at the very end of this session. Okay, let's go. We have the following agenda today. After introducing ourselves, we will take a look at what the European single electronic format requires from you, then talk about the different approaches regarding the input file format, as well as the difference between built-in and bolt-on tagging. And the biggest part, of course, today is showing you a live tagging of a report with all the obstacles that might occur, and then the Q&A at the end. Philipp, do you want to start and introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you. So my name is Philipp Stampfuss. I'm one of 4 managing directors at AMANA and responsible for our product areas, disclosure management and XBRL. AMANA exists as an independent company since 2011, but we've developing software for more than 15 years. And until 2011, we were part of PwC PricewaterhouseCoopers. In addition to our disclosure management system, Smart Notes, and our XBRL solutions, we have also products in the area of taxes and IFRS 16. I have a technical background. I studied physics. I'm not an accounting expert, but I know the technique of XBRL very well, and I will be happy to present how to generate an IXBRL document from scratch. Gernot, your turn.
Thank you very much. My name is Gernot Waidacher. I'm CTO and managing partner at nexxar. My focus is on leading the software and process development to create outstanding online reports. With AMANA, we have a collaboration with the best-in-class disclosure management system, and we're working on a seamless connection between our systems. And this is the reason why we're here together in this session. Okay, let's go. We will take a look at the legal requirements first. The ESEF requires that all annual financial statements shall be prepared in XHTML, which is human readable and can be opened with any standard web browser. Where the annual financial report contains consolidated financial statements, these shall be labeled with XBRL tags, which make the labeled disclosures machine readable. These XBRL tags shall be embedded in the aforementioned XHTML document using the inline XBRL technology. So you can see that the requirements actually contain 2 parts. One is the machine readable part and the other one is the human readable part. One is tagging, which means applying a piece of hidden code to your financial statements. But the other equally important part is providing your full annual report as XHTML to get the human readable parts done. How can you achieve this? We will focus first on the human readable part. To make your full annual report available in XHTML, you need to convert your existing report format, which can be an InDesign file or maybe a Word file or even a PDF file. Or you can also use your existing online report, in case you have one, and convert it to be ESEF compliant. Unfortunately, the XHTML standard required for XBRL is very, very restrictive, and it has been developed nearly 20 years ago. This is why a state-of-the-art online report from today still needs lots of adaptations, code restructuring in order to be able to hold XBRL tags and be ESEF compliant, of course. So over the last few months, we have developed an automated process to create suitable input for the AMANA tagger, which Philipp will show you then. And this input is based on the online report. So Philipp will take this input file, show you how the actual tagging process works now. Philipp, can you take over, please, and show us the tagging and the magic?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Gernot, for the theoretical introduction. Just two more slides. So we at AMANA have been dealing with XBRL for a very long time, and basis of all our XBRL products is our certified AMANA XBRL engine. This engine can process any taxonomy out of the box. If you have a look at software.xbrl.org, you will see that there are not so many certified XBRL processors worldwide, and ours is one of them. Specifically, we have developed two solutions for ESEF. One solution is our XBRL tagger. It's a so-called bolt-on solution. The tagger does not care what the pre-process looks like or how the annual report is created. You can feed the tagger with a Word file, but the input can be also an InDesign file or a PDF file or an XHTML file produced directly from nexxar's content management system. And this is also the case which we will look at in the moment. We will import a file into the tagger that Gernot kindly provided to me. The second solution is our disclosure management system, SmartNotes. SmartNotes goes much further and supports the complete end-to-end process from data import from the consolidation system to a print-ready PDF file or online report. However, today I would like to focus on the pure XBRL functions and on the XBRL tagger. I will now show you how to create a finished IXBRL report from scratch. And as a basis, we will take an XHTML file that was generated by nexxar from the online report of Deutsche Telekom. So let me close the presentation and let me start the XBRL tagger. Now you should be able to see the starting windows, the starting dialog of the XBRL tagger. I could load any Word, InDesign, PDF, or XHTML file, and now let me click on a load document, choose the DRC folder, and import the Telekom XHTML document. The first thing that happens is that the tagger asks for some master data. I have to import or to insert my company's name and look up the so-called legal entity identifier, the LI code. Let me apply the selected LI. Now we will need taxonomy extensions, and I should switch the report language to English because we currently look at the English report. And let me choose, this is the right date format, that is okay, and the number format is something we should check. It's the wrong one. We should use an English number format for that. So now the XHTML document is analyzed, and so the tagger is looking for all the chapters in the XHTML. It's analyzing all the tables, and they will be displayed later on ready for tagging. This might take some seconds, but now it's finished. As a next step, I have to load the taxonomy. Predefined is the ESEF taxonomy. I think this is what 90% of the listeners are interested in. But since it's a generic XBRL processor, it would be also possible to load a Dutch GAP taxonomy, Japanese GAP taxonomy, SEC taxonomy, because the XBRL engine can deal with any taxonomy. So let's close the configuration window, and now the main window of the tagger opens. On the left side, I can browse through my report. I can do it by choosing a certain chapter. I can also have a look at the Preview tab. In the Preview tab, you see the content of the XHTML file as it is. It looks the same imported from nexxar's content management system. And it's also possible to click on the links if I want to switch to the consolidated statement of financial position. I just click here, and then the consolidated statement of financial position opens. But for tagging, I switch to the tagging view because then I see a more simplified view of the table, and this is easier for tagging. On the right side, you see the taxonomy. Currently, the taxonomy language is English, which is fine. If you want another language, you can also switch to the taxonomy language using this Change Taxonomy Language button. And here, the European languages appear, and in any European language, a translation of the taxonomy is available. So for each table in the financial statements, you have a folder in the taxonomy. In the XBRL language, these folders are also called roles. And for tagging the consolidated statement of financial position, I need role 210, statement of financial position, current, non-current. I can expand the structure of the role 210, and now you see a typical balance sheet structure. Now let's start with the tagging. The first thing we do is to tag the table as a whole. For that, I take this abstract concept, statement of financial position, and I drag and drop it to the table tag. Now the table is tagged as statement of financial position, and the tagger knows that this table belongs to that role. Now let's start tagging the numbers. First number is total current assets. It's tagged by just drag and drop the total current assets concept to the current assets figures. You will see that the figures turn green. That means they are tagged now, and we can continue. Next is cash and cash equivalents. This is here. Let's drag and drop it. You see, it's pretty easy. Trade and other current receivables. So you see, it's pretty easy if you know which concept belongs to which number. Nevertheless, please allow me to tag the current assets completely once, because then we will still come across some special features. And the next line is already one special line. It's called very special line item. It's of course not present in the real Deutsche Telekom report. It's a line that we have created just for showing how, or just for demonstrating how a taxonomy extension works. Because of course, this very special line item doesn't appear on the right side. And what I need to do is I need to create a so-called taxonomy extension. For that, I just select the line and press the plus button. So now I'm nearly finished, but not completely, because the concepts in the taxonomy on the right, they know if they are debit or credit. They also know whether they are instant, as in the balance sheet, or duration, as in the P&L. Our taxonomy extension is new. It cannot know that yet. So I have to control that in the taxonomy extension properties. And indeed, the balance type is credit, but we are on the assets, so we have to change it to debit. The period type is instance, which is correct for the balance sheet. Furthermore, I have to set an anchor. This is a new feature because a few years ago there were not anchors do not exist in the XBRL worlds. So anchoring extensions is something ESMA came up with. There's one anchor I have to set in any case. This is the so-called wider anchor. The wider anchor is the nearest parent position. In that case, it's the total current assets. And so I drag and drop the total current assets to the anchors. And now this extension concept is anchored. There are cases where the extension can be represented as a set of two or more elements from the base taxonomy. Also, in this case, I have to set the nearest upper position, but additionally, I would define the subpositions as so-called narrow anchors. A well-known example for these are intangible assets here. So the intangible assets can be defined as a sum of goodwill plus other intangible assets. In that case, you would have to set the goodwill plus other intangible assets as narrow anchor. So let me continue with the tagging. The next tag is also somehow a little bit special because it doesn't exist on the right side either. So my first reflex might be to add another taxonomy extension, but in that case, it's wrong. Because before adding a taxonomy extension, I need to search the whole taxonomy, all 5,000 elements of the taxonomy, and for an appropriate concept. And indeed, if I search here for contract assets, we find, okay, these are not monetary items, so let me filter data type on pure monetary items. There is one appropriate concept in the role 831150, which is current contract assets. So I told you in the beginning, I'm not an accounting expert, but I hope this is the right tagging. Let me drag and drop this one and to the contract assets. So this wording taxonomy extension is a little bit misleading because sometimes you need to take a concept from another role and put it into your role for the statement of financial position in that case. And it's this is necessary before making a taxonomy extension. So let me reset the filter and let's switch back to our role 210 and let's finish the tagging of the current assets. The rest of these assets is a piece of cake. Let's search for the tax assets, current tax assets, other financial assets, other current financial assets, inventories, current inventories, other non-financial assets, and last but not least, non-current assets or disposal groups classified as held for sale. So now I'm finished with tagging the current assets. There's one thing missing. Because what you need to include in your XBRL instance document or in your company-specific taxonomy is the calculation rules, the so-called calculation link base. And now let me add calculation rules for that table. I switch to the calculation tab, and the only calculation rule I can add is the calculation of the current assets. So let me do this. Let's switch on the summation mode. Let's select the summands. Let's add these to the current assets. Let's switch off the summation mode. And now we have added a calculation rule. Here you see that there's a delta. Not surprisingly, the delta is corresponds to the value of the very special line because we did not include it in the sum, and so you see a delta here, which can be also seen if you validate the whole document. So let's assume we are finished with the tagging, then it's possible to validate the whole document. I click on this validation, and now you see that there are errors for the current assets. The sum does not match the sum of these items. That is how tagging works. For the second half of the assets, I now make it easy for myself, because what we have in the tagger is also an artificial intelligence. I can activate it with this Harry Potter button. Let's click here and let's choose Auto Tag Whole Table. And now the artificial intelligence makes suggestions for all remaining cells. And you see it works pretty well. The status is yellow. It should be controlled by a real human who can set the status to final. So we already implemented some kind of here in the text tab, you see how the artificial intelligence tagged these figures. So the taxonomy extension also has a red status. Let's turn this to green. This is also fine. And yeah, I have to admit that the artificial intelligence is not so different from us humans. So also an artificial intelligence has to learn first. And this works best if you feed it with thousands of reports. And however, this doesn't exist yet. So artificial intelligence will become better and better in the coming years. But the artificial intelligence is already very strong in transferring a mapping to another report. A common question is, what will happen next year? Will I have to retag everything then? This, of course, is not the case. So we have a backup and restore function in the tagger, and the restore function also uses the artificial intelligence. It is also able to detect structural changes in the report and still restore the mapping. The backup and restore function can be found here. So now you know how tagging works. Let's switch to the P&L statement. This is a little bit different, but only a little bit. Let's switch to the income statement here, and let's switch to row 310. No, sorry, is it? Yeah, it's 310. There's only one special feature I would like to talk about in the P&L statement. So usually expenses are displayed with a negative sign in the P&L statement. But this is only for optical reasons to increase the human readability of this table, and because the reader can calculate it easier if the expenses have a negative sign. In the taxonomy, every concept knows whether it's debit or credit, and therefore an additional negative sign would be a duplication. The tagger therefore automatically reverses the sign when tagging a negative debit element. So let's tag this with cost of sales. And if you look at the table cell properties, you see that the tagger automatically has turned the sign logic to always positive. However, if you need to intervene manually there, if you have an example where you need a negative sign logic, it's possible in the table cell properties, just turn this to sign logic none. Let's tag the table as a whole again with the appropriate table tag. And now, last but not least, I would like to show how to tag the changes in equity. There is one speciality in the changes in equity. In the changes in equity, every table needs to be tagged twice. And you see, if I look at the changes in equity, it has two areas. Sorry, I'm just filtering for monetary items, and that's wrong. Now I see the two areas. Here we have the so-called line items, and let's start with these. I tag the equity at beginning of period for issued capital. And now let's tag the capital reserves also with equity at beginning of period. I already get a warning because this is a duplication. I used the same concept for two different figures, and that is not allowed. You cannot tag different figures with the same tag unless they belong to different periods. And how can I distinguish these two figures here? This is done by double tagging this. I have this red hypercube, and in the hypercube, you will find the so-called axis members. And here I can tag the whole column issued capital as issued capital. And now you will see that the tag, oh, sorry, I should have put it here. The whole tag is, this figure is tagged twice. It's tagged with IFRS full equity and it's tagged with issued capital member. So now you basically know how tagging works, and there's not much more to show. And if you want to try it yourself, just contact Gernot or me. We will gladly provide you with a download link for the tagger and a demo license. To finalize this, I would now like to show you how to create an IXBRL file. And to do that, I just need to click on XBRL, generate IXBRL. The tagger now remarks that my report is not valid, but we know that and we are going to ignore that. And so let's generate an XBRL report. This might take some time because now the text need to be written into the XHTML document, and in addition, a taxonomy needs to be created, because what you need to file to ESMA or the corresponding local authority is not only the IXBRL file, but also the extension taxonomy you have created for your company, in that case, a specific Deutsche Telekom taxonomy. And creating the taxonomy might take some time. In our case, the input was already an XHTML file. That makes it easier for the tagger to create the filing because there's nothing that needs to be converted. If the input is an InDesign file, a Word file, or a PDF file, this needs to be converted to XHTML, and because IXBRL basically is XHTML. So this is the result. You see, it's not a single file, it's a whole folder, and you will find the IXBRL file in the folder reports. And here we see the IXBRL file in two variants. One variant is the variant that needs to be submitted to ESMA or the corresponding local authority. The second variant is a variant that contains additionally a very nice add-in that allows to make the mapping visible and to check it. So, and let's have a look at this one now. Let's open this preview variant and you will see that a nice add-in will be loaded, should be loaded soon, might take some time. Now it's loaded, great. And you see the file looks exactly like the input file. There's no difference, but this file contains a mapping. And let's switch to our consolidated statement of financial position. And now in these add-in, I choose highlight. And now you see every tagged figure is highlighted now. If I click on the current assets, you see it's tagged with IFRS full current assets. You see the outcut of the IFRS standard, which belongs to this current assets tag. You see the attributes. It's this is the tag for December 2019. This is the tag for December 2018. You see the accuracy. In that case, it's in thousands. Sorry, I have set the wrong accuracy in the master data. It shouldn't have been millions, but now it's thousands. And all the tags from the base taxonomy are green. One more thing, if you scroll down, you will see also the calculation link base. So the current assets is the sum of all of these tags. Highlighted in yellow are the taxonomy extensions. So our very special line item, you see it's tagged with Deutsche Telekom AG, very special line item. It has the anchor IFRS full current assets, and it's highlighted yellow to indicate that it's a taxonomy extension. In addition to the IXBRL filings, the extension taxonomy is created, and this is found in this Deutsche Telekom AG com folder. These are not human readable files. It's XML files, an entry file for the taxonomy and the so-called calculation link base, definition link base. But this taxonomy, you also have to submit to ESMA or the corresponding local authority. I have now shown you the complete process of IXBRL creation. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them now. Gernot, have any questions already been asked?
We have lots of interesting questions and I will go through them quickly. First one, why did you choose the English version? An English report of Deutsche Telekom will not be ESEF compliant. This is some very practical reasons. I thought we should use the English version because our audience is English, so they understand what we are doing here. And the reason why we choose Deutsche Telekom is because we used it at nexxar internally for our development. So it was the most advanced version, that's the best showcase. And then we choose the English version because you want to see what we are tagging here and understand. Next question is for you. It is, did I understand it correctly? The shown process is the same for an InDesign file. Does the InDesign file need additional preparation before being converted into the XBRL tagger, Philipp?
No, it's the same procedure. You can either upload a file from InDesign or just the PDF file. And this is something we are very proud of. So the tagger has a very powerful PDF tagging, and it's exactly the same. And the XHTML output for PDF also looks very nice. It looks one by one like the PDF document which is uploaded to the tagger.
Okay, thank you. Next one is maybe for me or not for this session. Is XBRL tagging relevant for sustainability integrated reports since there are no clear guidelines or frameworks available? If yes, what are the benefits? We had this question yesterday in the XBRL session because we are focusing today on the technical side and on the tagging. It might be relevant in the future. We will see it in the next few years. The benefits are always the same. It's structured data and it's machine readable. So if your audience has some benefits, then people will do it and we will see it in the next years. But I don't know any sustainability report that does XBRL yet. Next one about the auto tagging. Can most tables be tagged using the auto tagger and then be checked by someone, or must tables be tagged manually before, like you did, because you tagged half the table and then the rest was auto tagging?
So my experience is that the auto tagging might be helpful in the future, but for simple tables, if you know that which figure belongs to which concept, it's also a piece of cake to calculating manually, and the discussions about the special line items are always the same. So these are the discussions about special line items where you are not sure how to tag them. These are the most time-consuming steps during tagging, and so to be honest, an auto tag document is not much faster than a manually tagged document because the discussions are always the same. I see the most powerful advantage of the artificial intelligence in backupping and restoring mappings from one year to another, or if the structure changes.
Thank you. Next one, what are the next steps after tagging? Where or how do they have to be published? Asking for Austria. So the next step would be uploading the package to the local authorities. As far as I know, but I'm not a specialist in that, it is the ÖKB, the Österreichische Kontrollbank for Austria. So they need to have some sort of interface or some sort of upload function where you just go upload, take the package, and that's it. I think it will be validated while uploading, but yeah, that's pretty much it. There are no further steps. Patrick, next question. I really love you for that question. Will XBRL be part of an online annual report in the future? I hope so. The problem currently is, the XHTML standard is 20 years old. What we do now is HTML5 reports. They are about here. And we have to reverse engineer them to XHTML. it is technically simply not possible to add XBRL tags to be ESIF compliant. So I hope that they will evolve and that we can use HTML5 in the future and not stick to XHTML for too long. I think that's it, or is there? Oh no, there's one more. In yesterday's XBRL session, reduced data security was mentioned as a possible downside of XBRL tagging, but not further explained. Do you have any insights on this topic? Actually, no, because I didn't exactly understand what was meant here too. Do you see any reduced data security for when you do XBRL?
No, because everything is kept in your infrastructure until it's published, and so you only tag the figures that will be published anyway, and I don't see any type of reduced data security.
Yeah. You're not publishing more or less. You're just giving the data a structure, so it's easier for automated processing with XBRL. That's it. Thank you very, very much, Philipp, for the presentation. It was a great one.
The invitation.
No problem. Thank you. Coming up next in a few minutes at 10 o'clock is ESIF and XBRL audit and regulation. This is a perfect follow-up to this session. And the other one is mobile reporting. Thank you very much and hope to see you there. Bye.
Bye.